So the No Kings rally was today. And in fact, it was a massive turnout. Bernie Sanders was saying, thank you to the millions of Americans who turned out in a small communities and big cities all over this country to say loudly and boldly, no more kings. In America, we the people will rule. And you saw this scene in several cities throughout the USA. It was just massive amounts of people and great turnouts. So I also want to hear from you and your community, as we have many members of our community that were out in the No Kings rally. And I want to see and hear some of the best signs that you guys saw. This is also a headline then today. No Kings protest live. Millions march against Trump in nationwide day of protest. And you saw some really great signs, which is part of this. Is this we all feel in the stress and of Trump, and it's good to know that you're not alone. So, for example, this person writes, "Know your parasites." You got the deer tick, the dog tick, and then Trump, the lunatic. It's pretty good. You also got this one. Trump is the worst president since, well, Trump. And in fact, if you think about it, Trump could actually be the worst two presidents, right? So worst president in history since Trump, well, Trump. And another one. At this point, you have to pay me not to protest. and if you follow this, you know that the Trumpers, they always say that everyone's all paid, et cetera, which is obviously ridiculous. But Trump and their people always say a lot of ridiculous things. And people are so, irritated. It's like, yeah, you'd have to pay me not to protest. This was a great headline also. Democracy is a verb. No Kings protests kick off across USA. And a good reminder that democracy, right, it's about participation, about being active. And this is something that you want to do. You want to let your friends know, your family members, people around you to participate. And, this is always something that I've been a big believer in is just, the more people that turn out, essentially the better things will be. Make your voices heard, right? Democracy is a verb. Bernie Sanders also said then, we're here because we love America, right? And some of the cities we're hearing, so New York was saying over 100,000, and which is a lot for, Manhattan downtown. Then you also got like DC was like over a couple 100,000. Chicago was the same. Several cities in USA were like this. This was another one. Sorry for being weird. This is my first dictatorship. And this has been a really great thing to see in USA, to where people are very creative on this stuff. And we've seen a lot of various costumes that show the absurdity of the whole Trump thing. And you got some more signs here. So there's another one. The Shady Bunch, which is Trump and his people, you can see here. So let's play on the Brady Bunch. And again, if you went out to the rallies today for No Kings, I want to hear what you guys saw. What were your favorite signs that you saw? This was an interesting one. This is in California. And this was No Kings, right? So the yes on 50, so this would be the ballot measure in California regarding the voting districts. Here's another one. It says here, ribbit, resist, repeat, no hope without hop. And basically people are in frog costumes, and this is my home state, Oregon. So it's actually pretty funny to see this stuff. And again, you want to keep it peaceful. You also want to get out and talk with people in your community, and you guys you'll see when you go to these things that you're definitely not alone. And it's also important for people bring their families. All sorts of people come to these things, and there's a fantastic turnout. Here's another one. Hey, Trump, nobody paid us to be here. We all hate you for free, right? And we also had the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, who I'm a big fan of. He said here, they have decided that they want a rematch of the Civil War. We are here to stand firm and stand committed that we will not bend, we will not bow, we will not cower, we will not submit. We do not want troops in our city. And I thought this was really good, right? They have decided they want a rematch of the Civil War. And that's a lot of what, Trump is all about. He's about dividing people and things. But as you see with the No Kings, and when you go to these, and for those of you who, say outside the USA and have never been to this kind of stuff, I can just tell you, it becomes very, very obvious when you say, if you look at to this, for example, a Republican gathering or more left-leaning Democrat gathering, Democrat, it's much more broad much more diverse and much more representative of USA. The Republicans, it's a very small segment of society. You'll see it. It's pretty obvious whenever you see in the national conventions. You'll see it. You're just like, wow, the Democrats, right, looks like all of America, not just small part. Whereas the Republicans, like I said, you'll see it. And I mention that is because a big thing is again to unify everyone. And like you look at this kind of stuff here. No health care for you peasants, but a ballroom for the queen. There's what the Republicans do all the time is they try to get you afraid of having health care for everyone. They try to get you afraid of that, which is so crazy. And, a lot of the stuff is, again, it's just education and information. And, you put it more simple terms for people. Would you rather have a system where only Trump gets and his buddies get, health care and all the benefits, or do you want it for everyone? And it's a pretty easy, honestly, if people realize. And also, that's why I'd give you international perspective. I'm telling you guys, you go around the world and developed world, and you'll see how the USA is way behind in so many things, and it doesn't have to be that way. And so basically, you just have to show people there's other ways to do things. And when you get out and you see all the people that understand this stuff, right, and you'll realize, wow, 99.9% of us are all in the same boat. We just want to live life, put food on the table, right, live in peace. And we're way better and way stronger together than dividing everyone. This is another one is funny. Real clowns would run things better. Or referring to Trump, does this ass make my country look small? Very clever. Here's another one. He's more burger than king, referring to Trump. And another one. Kristi Noem is like a box of chocolates. They'll both kill your dog. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. And I do want to show you a bit of what the Trumpers are up to, because, it's good to show more than one side. So this is what they're tweeting out over on the White House and their, Twitter accounts. They were doing military exercises. So I just want you to think about this. The people out in the streets, they said we don't want a dictatorship. We don't want kings. And then Trump's messaging is like military stuff. So, they make it so overt. And it got to the point, too, where they were actually doing live fire. I believe it was San Diego, Camp Pendleton, I think. And they had to close the highways there for multiple hours. I believe it was like 5 hours, something like that. Live munitions going on there. So then there was a spat about whose fault was that they're using live munitions, whether or not it was safe. So the Trump people would say, oh, it's totally safe to use live munitions. I guess the California Highway and safety was like, no, it's not. So they closed the freeway. So this was obviously a big annoyance for people. But that's how Trump is. Doesn't care about regular people at all. Just cares about himself. And again, they're doing a military demonstration during this stuff. The Trump people then, I just want to show you different points of view. They think they're cute and clever by putting, the opposition party in princess costumes, I guess. That's what they're doing there. And then they're trying to intimidate you. I say, oh, we're going to watch you all with cameras. And so it's crazy that the Trump people think that to go against the No Kings rally is to prove that you're a dictatorship and a king, right? Like they can't see themselves speak. Oh, I'm going to, show that rally. I'm going to use the military, right? Or I'm going to, surveil you and maybe use cameras to track you down. But people weren't intimidated. People showed out. That's why it's important that you see so many people came out. Here's another one. Because it's part of American history. We dumped tea for less, right? And let's see what some more people said here. This is from Chuck Schumer. Says, I proudly marched side by side with labor unions and so many more of our fellow citizens in New York City. We have no dictators in America, and we won't allow Trump to keep eroding our democracy. And then you have Chris Murphy from Connecticut. Senator says, Trump does think he's a king, and he thinks he can act more corruptly when the government is shut down. But he cannot. He doesn't have new powers, extra powers during the shutdown, right? And here's yet another sign. It's not our fault his dad didn't love you, referring to Trump. And, you have to use humor and all this stuff. And again, we're diffusing these things. It looks like, from what I can tell, there was any violence or anything like that, which is a good thing. There's a little bit of worries about that, but that's something that, again, Trump is trying to just scare people, and people weren't scared. They showed up in the millions. And, I think my favorite message today that I saw was probably this one: democracy is a verb. So I want to hear again from members in the community. How was the turnout in your cities, in your community, and what were your favorite signs and the things that people said? This is my favorite one: democracy is a verb. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.